Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. You knew it was coming, guys. You knew it was coming. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on the Caiman Show. I have two very, very awesome guests today, is the only way I can describe it. A massive part of my Saturday mornings growing up from, I believe it was 1987 through to 1997 on Going Live and Live and Kicking. I give you, ladies and gentlemen, the piano plonkering, dancing, fooling, pants swinging comedy duo that is none other than Trevor and Simon. Gentlemen, welcome. It is an absolute pleasure.
What an intro.
I can only go downhill after that intro.
Do you know, already it's gone downhill, because when you introduced us, you sang a bit of Come On Everybody, which was when we did, if I remember rightly, this was the Sister Brothers.
Correct.
And it was us basically mocking, what were they called? Jive Bunny.
Jive Bunny, that's right, yeah.
Because back then, okay, Jive Bunny was just, I'll temper my language, but it was rubbish, you know, it wasn't our kind of music.
You don't need to temper your language on here if you choose not to.
No, but you know, the weird thing is, now we're old guys. We did a show the other day, I think, and it's going out now. It's one of these Channel 5 compilation things, and it's called The Greatest Hits of the 80s. One of those things where you talk about pop songs. One of the pop songs was Jive Bunny. And the 58-year-old me, now, I'm not going to say I liked it, but the 58-year-old me actually toterated it.
Quality. Hey, and why not, man? It was a big part. It was a big part of, you know, the Sister Brothers. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. It's ringwormed here, you know. It's wormed right in this head of mine. But nah, brilliant stuff. So, guys, first of all, thank you for my childhood. First of all, Saturday mornings just are not the same and will never be the same again. All right, so I applaud you.
I disagree. It's very kind of you to say so, but our friend Jason, who directed and worked on Saturday morning TV with us, he's still doing it. He's still in charge of this. I'm too old to watch it, but there is a Saturday morning kids TV show that goes out. It's on, you know, one of the streaming channels, but it's there. It's you know, it's all there for the kids.
Well, that's true. Caiman's right. It isn't the same, and actually, it would be really weird if it was the same for like however 40 years later or whatever it is. I don't know, where are we now? Actually, no. It's 40 years this year since Simon and me met up. Actually, that's
amazing. I was going to ask you about that actually. So I was going to ask you about the how, where, when, and why, and everything. I wanted to know where you did first meet up, and let's do that. If there wasn't a story about the squirrel on a skateboard, I would be disappointed.
No, you see, that's the thing. No, but Caiman, see, the thing is, all those stories are out there, okay? They are out there. Everyone's heard the stories. So I think what we should do with your take on this is, you said how, where, when, why. And I think in a sentence, we should answer those 4 questions, Trev.
Let's go.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Well,
you take the how.
Well, how did we meet? Well, it was accidentally. That's all. Okay. We have one word for each answer.
That's it.
What was it? What was the second one? Was it where?
How, where?
Where? So the where is at Manchester University in the drama department.
Oh, but that's true.
I know it's true.
I thought we were inventing something new. I thought we were going to make something up.
I thought so too. I thought you were totally going to BS me, guys, you know?
Okay.
I thought we were doing it like consequences kind of thing.
I'll tell you what, very quickly then. The how was at Manchester, the where was Manchester University, the when was 1981.
Yeah.
And the why, because we were doing a degree. Now let's do the fake ones then, Trevor, and start again.
Excellent. Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing these. Go.
Okay, well, I'm still sticking with accidentally, because that's a good start for anything.
Can you give me a bit more to work on, though?
Okay. I'm struggling a bit. I had my vaccination yesterday, by the way, and this afternoon I laid down on the sofa and just went unconscious for about an hour before this started. I'm still a little bit kind of. I feel like I was drugged. I guess I was actually.
Was it your first vaccination?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had mine last Saturday as well. A guy who was in the queue with me as well, who we used to play rugby with, he messaged me the next morning, do you have a fever last night? I was like, no, I was fine. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was curled up on the settee like that. Talking to settees, guys, talking to settees, I brought my duvet. Is that okay?
Oh no!
We don't do them.
Do you do them? You don't do them? No. Oh.
No, we never did. We don't, and we won't.
Excellent.
Caiman, you said that you're going to include the visuals here, yeah? People are going to see us.
Indeed,
In that case, let me deal with. I've got a how we met and where and when and everything. So it was quite interesting, really, because Trev, good few years back, you'll know this, was obviously, quite a well-respected actor, and he was lined up to be in a new Wes Anderson film, which was going to be called The Life Aquatic with Trev Zissou.
Oh,
and basically, Trev invited me to the set, and I met Trev on the set of The Life Aquatic with Trev Zissou. And the reason Trev got the part is that Wes had met him and said, "Oh, great, you've got your own costume. You've got the right hat. You've got the glasses. You've got the polo neck. You look the part. You're in my film."
I wondered where that was going.
And so Trev was cast to be in The Life Aquatic with Trev Zissou. And then suddenly, well, basically, we were on the set, and two of us were on the set. And they said, "Oh, there's a big guest coming, a big star coming." Bill Murray turned up, punched Trev. Trev was in hospital for, I don't know, until the film had ended, missed out on it. And to this day, Wes Anderson has constantly said he'll get him back in one of his films, but it's just not happening.
Give it time. Give it time.
The Bill Murray thing.
Wait till the pandemic's over, and I'm sure you'll get a call.
Maybe. The trouble is, Bill Murray did punch me, but also I was sacked really. I was a terrible swimmer. I could barely swim. You can't do The Life Aquatic if you can't swim. It doesn't really, I was kind of doing this. I swim very badly, and that's true.
You've got a stunt double though, man, surely.
Maybe. And as for the hat,
he swims badly, but he lives by the coast. Trev chose to go and live by the coast. You can't keep out of the sea. You're Aquaman.
That's a bad idea.
I'm Action Man. That's why I'm wearing this hat, because it takes me back to my childhood. My Action Man used to wear a hat like this and a polo neck jumper, and I'm sure now, in my older years, I basically dress like my Action Man used to when I was a kid. I might not be. I obviously don't quite look like Action Man. I haven't got the scar.
In all respects, apart from one, you are that Action Man. I think the glasses led down the eagle eyes.
Yeah, they can't. You can't even. Yeah, they don't go sideways or anything.
I got a pair too, gents. I got a pair too.
Hey, wow, you've got a whole kind of wardrobe of props and costumes there.
Yeah, that's, I've been watching Timmy Mallet videos. Guys. Yeah, fail.
and you even have your own T-shirts.
I do indeed. Would you like one? I can send one off, gents.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
We'll sort that out.
Get to the shops.
We'll sort that out after the show. The shops, they'd be flying off the rails. Surely the Cayman show everywhere,
I don't know if you're a fan of it or not, but it's got a kind of touch of the Richard Osman House of Games design to it.
I'd go with that, yeah. I also got a bit of Heisenberg,
Yes.
So, interesting stuff. But what are you up to at the moment anyway, gents? How's lockdown been for you both? Are you getting by? Are you surviving? Well, obviously you're surviving, but are you thriving?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, like I say, I've had my vaccination now, so that's like my daughter said, it's the first step to freedom, which is a nice thought. We're getting there. But I've also my wife started shaving my head in lockdown, and she hasn't done it for a few days. So that's another reason why I'm wearing the hat, because I just start getting, I don't have very much hair now, and when it does come through, it's just these little kind of spiky bits, and it's not a great look particularly. So it's either all or nothing for me now, which is why I tend to go for the hats.
Maybe we get a sneaky peek for the viewers, or
a sneaky peak.
Yeah.
There's not much. Look, there's not much going on.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic.
Look,
can't fault it.
I was, and to be honest, this is quite good going. I was only paying half attention to you speaking then, which, like I say,
how would we know?
I get it all the time.
But I honestly thought you said that Kath had started shaving her head, and I got a bit kind of panicky there. There we go.
It's lockdown. I did shave the beard in lockdown, gents, as well, for the NHS.
What? It was longer?
Oh, yeah, it was about down here, It was
really?
A proper biker blow in the wind sort of beard. But for the NHS, I raised, I think it was 1,700 and something for that. So, but it still grew back. The next day, it was like this, So fantastic. Really? Proper gorilla.
Well,
and
see, that's very impressive.
Money, because you said you've been raising money for NHS, and you were asking us what we're doing during lockdown. Well, you may know this, you may not, but for anyone who's watching this and listening, I work for a charity called Medicinema, So
I
we
have
run a
looked.
cinema in Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. We did close for a short time during lockdown, but we're up and running again and we're showing screenings. But I do my best to raise as much money for them as possible. So I'm running the half marathon on April the 11th. So anyone watching this who finds it entertaining, that's the criteria. You have to find it entertaining.
Yes, they
If
find
you
it
find it
entertaining, Simon.
please track me down on Facebook or Twitter. Please find the link, go to my Just Giving page. And even if you can just donate £2 or £5, it all helps. So please give some money to Medicinema.
It all adds up. Give what you can, guys. Give what you can. Can we talk a little bit about Saturday television, Saturday morning television? How you got the call, how it all happened, some of the people you met, some of the people you worked with, and who was the most fun?
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell. I mean, the way we got the job was purely we were kind of like we were sort of headhunted. We were out doing the London comedy alternative comedy circuit, and a producer or researcher came out to one of the clubs and was on the lookout for a comedy double act that was going to go on to whatever show was going to replace Saturday Superstore. And supposedly, as rumor has it, it was Lenny Henry who suggested they got a double act on, and so they came out looking for double acts, and we were asked to audition. So we had to kind of do a series of strange auditions where they literally did push us in a room with Philip Schofield in a chicken costume.
Amazing.
And told us to improvise something, which was strange.
Who was in the chicken costume? Philip was in the chicken costume.
He ended up in it. Okay. Two of us in a chicken costume would be really difficult in one. In one.
It'd be money though. That would, you know.
So anyway, then we also had to do a little audition with an audience of kids, and I remember we did a version of the Beastie Boys' "No Sleep Till Brooklyn," and we did "No Sleep Till Bedtime." I think was our little kind of funny joke on that. And anyway, even with that joke, we still got the job.
Fantastic.
We got the job for 4 weeks. So we thought, wow, we've got this job. And then we found out we were kind of on a 4-week trial. Yeah. But thankfully, we survived the 4 weeks and stayed for 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it? According to my notes, 1987 to 1997. That's going live on Live and Kicking. Yeah.
And if you, for completists, if there are any out there, for completists, we took a year out, and which I think was 91. And we took a year out to do a show for BBC Two called 100%, which was it went out at 7 o'clock in the evening during the boom of youth TV. So we did that for a year. And to be honest, we would have most probably carried on doing that. But there was budget problems, there was money problems. The BBC had this big financial crisis. 100% was closed down. And then they said to us, would we go back to Saturday morning TV? So we went back in 92. I think there was most probably another couple of seasons of going live, and then that transferred into Live and Kicking. And I only know this because I've been going to do my storage unit, and I'm finding all the clips and everything. So
that's the place to find it.
It's usually people like you who remind us of things we've done, and we go, did we really do that?
Excellent stuff. Oh, guys, well, my missus, I've done her head in now, right? Obviously, I've been, over the last couple of weeks when you agreed to come on, I've been stepping back in time and what have you, you know. The one that sticks for me, I couldn't stop singing it. It's the piano plonker and the dancing fool. I've got nimble fingers and I've got nimble toes. Oh, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for that. I have totally, I never win an argument with my Mrs. Amy, okay? Amy, shout out to you. But this one is just even better than winning an argument with her. She's just firing something at me. I just say to her, yeah, well, I got nimble fingers. She's like, oh, and I've got nimble toes.
Think about that, Trev, you helped me out here, but I think that it's interesting, that song, because we did that on tour, and I think the lyrics, when we were working on Saturday morning TV, we had some friends helping us out, and one of our friends, Paul Ford, who stage name Paul Brophy, who has his own history of Saturday morning TV. He used to do what's the one that came from Scotland called, Trev?
Fully Booked. Was it Fully Booked?
Fully Booked. He used to be on Fully Booked. He used to be. If you remember Saturday morning TV, do you remember Rats, the floating head cat?
Rats, the floating head cat.
Yeah, he was in the first few weeks of Live and Kicking. It was a whole new kind of, it was like live virtual reality all going on. It was the very first kind of level of animation and virtual reality kind of stuff.
Awesome.
It did, yeah, it didn't last that long, did it? But because it was a really tricky thing to do live. But he did well on that, and he was very funny.
Yeah, it was completely computer, you know, him with all stuff on his face, so that it thinks live, and it was a right old thing to do.
It rings a bell.
He wrote the lyrics, but again, if I remember correctly, and this is only coming back to me now, Trev, I have a feeling that we wanted to do that on tour, and we had a meeting in my house where Pete, our agent at the time, arranged for another of his clients, who is Tony Hawks, not Tony Hawks, the
skateboarder. Yeah, that's immediately what's come to mind.
Tony Hawks, the comedian, who had big hits with, he had a book of carrying a fridge around, whatever. He carried a fridge around somewhere on his back. I can't remember all the details. But Tony Hawks, who used to be in a kind of spoof group called Morris and the Miners. Is that
Morris Minor and the Majors, was it?
Morris Minor and the Majors. So Tony Hawks joined us to create he came up with a kind of backing track for it, didn't he?
Well, I think we've confused two things there, actually. I think he came up with the backing track for something else, because Nimble Fingers, Nimble Toes was Paul's song, and Paul toured with us on that tour when we were doing the Rogers Brothers, and basically he was the keyboard player in the background, and he composed that song, so he'd be there and I'd be miming to a kind of Yamaha keyboard on a piano, and yeah, I mean, he was great.
Never noticed.
Oh, Trev, I think I'm maybe confusing it then with when, a very rare thing, when the Barbers had a song.
That's it. I think that's it.
Yeah, he did the Barbers song.
And what was their song?
Oh no, that goes.
We're Ken and Eddie Kennedy, the Barbers. I wash, I go. Yeah, and then there was I sham, I poo. Quality stuff. But
brilliant, boys, brilliant.
But the Rogers Brothers, yeah, they were a kind of seaside variety act. They were kind of depressives, weren't they? Randall and Rudy Rogers, the Rogers Brothers? A little bit down, because they couldn't quite live up to the memory of their parents, who were sadly passed away, as they often talked about on stage, which was never a highlight of the show really, but they used to. And they Bucket and Spade was their name, the parents. And Randall and Rudy's just do their best to get through without crying, really. Your character.
Yeah, they would have these catchphrases of, "Oh, Mr. Gloom is in the room." That was one of them. Mr. Maudlin is in the auditorium. All sorts of crazy.
Mr. Glum has come, and Mr. Misery is in the vicinity. That's
it, in the vicinity. The Rogers Brothers were based on a real double act. There's a real double act. Sadly, I think they're both dead now. But there's a double act of two guys called the Cox Twins, and the Cox Twins they're worth looking out. I mean, I don't think you'll find much about them online. But the interesting thing about the Cox Twins is they married twins. So they were twins, and then they both married, but they married twins.
Well, that's interesting. What's the chances, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it is incredible, because then apparently, like, the bridesmaids were twins. There was two best men, exactly. They were twins. The person conducting the ceremony, twins again.
Twin vicars.
Amazing.
Twin vicars. I couldn't make it up, gents, or could you?
we may have made up some of the latter.
Hey guys, it's the Cayman show. You can make up whatever the hell you want. You're Trevor and Simon, for crying out loud. This is your time. Do what you like.
Forget the facts. Get to the inner truth.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what it's all about. So, looking at some of the celebrities you met, and on my list, I got Frank Bruno, Kylie Minogue, Jason Donovan, Cliff Richard, French and Saunders. That was a funny skit, by the way. Many more. Too many to mention. A, did they always know what was coming? And B, who was the best? Who was most up for the crack? Who was the best laugh, if you will?
Did they in theory, did they know what was coming? Sometimes we didn't even know what was coming, and we'd have written them. I think the thing is, even if you've written something, best laid plans and everything, it's live TV.
Yeah.
And usually guests would come into the show maybe an hour or so beforehand, and literally we'd have 5 minutes in a dressing room to talk through what we plan to do. The bigger the guest, the bigger the entourage with them. So the less focus as well. So sometimes it'd be a nightmare trying to figure out what would happen. So they kind of knew what was coming, But I mean, here's an example of things where you don't have enough time to plan properly. When Cyndi Lauper was on, we had her in a dry cleaners sketch, and she didn't know all the lines and everything, so she had to kind of lean into the dry cleaning machine to supposedly speak to an alien. And we had her lines written on cards, and we did this because we didn't have all the time and so on. And it kind of worked. The sketch worked, but it was a bit shaky. And afterwards, she said to us, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I should have told you I'm dyslexic."
Oh, no.
So, we didn't know that, and we couldn't plan for that. So, all sorts of things could happen that you couldn't kind of quite control.
That's true. And you mentioned the French and Saunders one as well. That very nearly didn't happen because actually we were slightly too in awe of them to ask them to do a sketch. So we knew they were coming on the show, but we didn't plan to say, "Oh, let's do a sketch with French and Saunders," because we just thought, well, that's just too much. We can't take that on. Anyway, we used to do rehearsals in another building, in another part of West London. And we went up there to rehearse. And then in the lunch break, we saw them in the canteen because they were rehearsing up there as well. And they said, "Oh, we're coming on your show soon." And we said, "Yeah." And they said, "Can we do a sketch with you?" So they
fantastic. What an honor.
So we went, "Well, yeah, okay." And I said, "Is it possible you could wear your funny folk hats and you wear the funny folk hats and we'll do a kind of folk off between them and the swing your pants geezers?" And so that's kind of what happened. So they came along with their little folk hats and their whistles. We were doing the swing your pants characters, and then it kind of then took its own journey, that sketch, really.
Yeah.
The weird thing about that sketch is it also reminds me of some of the sketches we did with Sting. Is that you have to take into account what is inherently funny about French and Saunders. And one of the things that's why we loved them is that kind of almost like an aloof disdain they have. And particularly Jennifer Saunders, then don't want to be all bubbly and all exuberant and everything. And they brought that to the sketch. But because they're on the sketches then, you then get people coming up to you in the street going like, "Oh, they were really pissed off." And
yeah. Well, that's why I asked the question, Yeah.
And the same happened with Sting. We had Sting and he's a good actor. Whatever you may think of Sting, he is a good actor. And he was great at being annoyed at us constantly calling him Sting and making jokes about bees and all this kind of thing. And at one point he came into the dry cleaners with a baseball bat to kind of beat people up. And I actually had someone in the street going, like that was real, going like, "Oh, you really pissed him
off." He said the baseball bat, I think, was his idea, because he said, "Oh, can I do my Geordie accent and be all kind of tough and I'll have a baseball bat?" Yeah, why not?
Chuck it in there, Sting. Totally, of course. Brilliant.
But I think one of my favourites always was, I think, to be honest, we always fell back to Jonathan Ross for someone who was going to always have a laugh with us, because he was great. He was a fan of the show, and he seemed to like what we were doing. And whenever he was invited on or he came on the show, he was always happy to do anything. And there was one particular one, again, where they were experimenting with live 3D TV. And so basically you had to, I don't know whether they gave out glasses in the live.
I think you got glasses with the Radio Times.
Okay.
Right.
So the viewers had 3D glasses. They could see Saturday morning TV.
Oh, 3D. I remember this. Yeah.
Live. So we got Jonathan Ross on as the expert in 3D TV. And basically it was just like 5 minutes of us poking sticks out towards the camera and poking things like that. It was just hilarious. And he was very good. And every time he came on, he'd take you by surprise with something. But he always went with the idea, but then just, introduced his own little ingredient. And still, I think, Simon, we were saying the other day, weren't we, when he said, "Can I bring a mate with me?" And we said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, it's Vic Reeves." And so he came on the show as well, which
amazing.
Was
amazing.
Let's all do a thing for the viewers now. Let's all do a 3D finger all together. Yeah. Coming at you.
Happy days. That's a nice screenshot there, I think, gents. Brilliant stuff. So, with regards to the material you used to do, did you write all your own stuff? And if you did the producers ever say to you, "No way, Jose"? And if they did, can you give us an example?
We mentioned Paul earlier, and there was definitely, we did it for 10 years. And I would say, we pretty much wrote most of our own stuff. And there was a couple of years where we had Paul, Joe and Simon. We had 3 friends help us out, and they also contributed some of the stuff for our tour as well. We generally thought up most of our stuff, and they didn't think up, you know, the majority of it, but they did think up some of the best things ever we did. I mean, Paul Brophy was responsible. In fact, if memory serves me right, he came up with the genius of the name Ken and Eddie Kennedy. I think that was him.
Yeah.
And he also came up with one of my favorite sketches that I really, if I can find it on YouTube, I still laugh at it.
Yeah.
Which was Sofa for Two with Three. I think that was one of Paul's, wasn't it?
I think I might have been. Yeah. Or I think it was when Simon, Joe, and Paul were working together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff.
Really funny stuff.
But yeah, we generally wrote all our stuff. There was a few occasions when, what was it? There wasn't much that we were told we couldn't do. There was a big argument. We did a sketch about what was the devil and the god one? There was like a. Do you remember there was a thing?
There was a thing about the devil.
Neville the devil.
Being called Neville. And then what's God called? And our payoff, I remember now, it's coming back to it. We were so radical, Trev. We had a whole thing of, well, if the devil's called Neville, what's God called? And people were expecting us to say, for example, Rod.
Rod, that's where I was going, yeah.
And God turned out to be called Susan.
Well, yeah, you know, who says God is a man?
Come back to me.
You know?
But the thing is, it caused a whole debate. I remember it went on for weeks about whether you were allowed to even mention the devil on Saturday morning TV. And we really had to fight for it. And because obviously we weren't Satanists, we weren't trying to kind of promote Satanism. Well, no, Simon was, but we didn't let them know that at the time. But we still weren't trying to promote it, were we, Simon? Satanism.
I was.
Yeah, Simon was, but I wasn't, and it wasn't. You know, we weren't trying to do it overtly, were we, Simon? Really?
I was.
He was.
Yeah, well, but I wasn't, and but anyway, we got away with it because in the end we said, well, you know, God called Susan. It's kind of a progressive idea. You know, there's a kind of progressive ideology behind that joke, and it's just a bit of daftness. Surely it's not going to damage the young people. And it did get on in the end, didn't it?
I think. Good. I'm glad it got on.
We did a sketch, and this is kind of, I'll give you some more info on this because it's a bit of a contrived thing. But oddly enough, we were doing a radio show. We were doing Nicky Donahue's radio show the other week, and we were talking about all sorts of things. And then we got on to Paul Heaton and the Beautiful South. And as a result of that, Paul Heaton got in touch with me, and I've had some messages from Paul Heaton, and hopefully when I get to see them live, I may even meet him. But putting that aside, he sent me a message that said, "Oh, I woke up this morning thinking about Art House." And he was remembering Art House, the sketch we did.
Yeah.
Which was it was like a Germanic thing, because house was house, H-A-U-S. And we were these two kind of guys who ranted and raved about modern art. And the thing is, there was nothing in that sketch that was worthy of censorship. It was just outright odd. And basically, we did this sketch. And after the sketch, our boss, Chris Bellinger, just came up to us and he went, "Never again, boys, never again." It's a sketch we only ever did once.
Well, it's one to talk about, though, gentlemen.
Yeah. I mean, one sketch that never made it was one we wrote for Bros. And that was not because it was censored, but because Bros refused to do it. They didn't want to do a sketch. So we wrote this one, which I think was pretty good, actually. Simon might remember it better than me, but basically the idea was we wanted them to promote Bros paints. So you had Matt Goss gloss paint and Luke Goss matte paint.
Oh, Goss matte.
That's a thing of beauty. That's a stroke of genius.
Luke Goss matte. Luke Goss matte. Yeah, and then the whole sketch became one of these things where we kept swapping them around, and they were bringing out more ranges, so it got more dense and complicated. But it would have been great.
It would have been, but probably knowing us, it would have gone out live and we'd have got it all muddled up and forgotten the words and got it all mixed up.
All part of the fun,
weird
right?
Conversation with them where we're backstage, we were talking about doing this sketch, and we said, so it's about you having a range of celebrity paints, right? It's like, Matt Goss gloss. And Matt just went, "Well, we don't have them." And I said, no. I said, no, we're not saying you have them. It's a sketch. And he goes, and he turned to his agent and he went, are we doing that? Are we getting them? And then Luke goes, "No, we don't do." And honestly, for 10 minutes, it went round in a circle with them saying, "We don't do celebrity paints." Us going, "We're not saying you do them. It's just a sketch."
Oh, Matt,
and in
Luke,
the end, we
please.
just And that's a conversation I've just completely made up. But
have you really? Is that made up? Yeah.
But it should have been like that, shouldn't it?
It should have been that. That was fantastic. I loved that. I was hanging on your every word then, you son of a person.
There was a true moment.
The weirdest thing, just coming back to that though, the weirdest thing about that conversation is, I mentioned the manager was there with them.
Yeah.
So, well, Bross's manager was actually called Teddy Eggshell.
All right. I'm getting my coat now.
And their tour manager is called Dougie Dulux. Apparently, it's a whole different thing.
Oh God, guys!
The main thing is, whenever Bross were on tour, like most people on tour, they have these exotic riders where they have kind of spirits and beers. All that Bross ever asked for was terps. That's all. Just bottles and bottles of terps.
I've been in some bands and I've seen some riders like that. That's a whole other level.
Yeah.
Swing your pants, gents. Whose idea was that? Where did that come from? And it was revolutionary. I remember in the schoolyard, everyone was swinging their pants, going down into town, shopping for your CDs and Woolworths and whatever. Other stores were also available. Everybody swinging their pants. Where did it come from? It's just there. Every time I mention it to some of my friends and my family. Yeah, Trevor and Simon are coming on. Oh, swing your pants, swing your pants. It's like bam, bam, bam. Instantly, that's associated with yourselves. Tell me a story. A true one.
The true one is it came out of Simon's genius random brain, the phrase swing your pants. We decided to do some characters so that we didn't have to do a new sketch every week because there was a lot of time to fill. So we thought if we create some characters that we can run week by week, that might help us out with writing material, especially if we repeat the catchphrase for the next 10 years over and over and over. We didn't know that was going to happen, but it certainly helped out. Anyway, we created these kind of crazy sort of mixture of sort of children's TV presenters meets kind of folk singers meets hippies. They were a combination of a lot of comedy stereotypes, but by bringing them all together, I think we created something a bit more unique. But in rehearsals, I was playing my acoustic guitar, making up songs with a D chord, because that's basically all that character played. So
is that all it was, a D chord? Yeah, I played
pretty much a D chord, sometimes an A and a G if you're lucky, but a lot of it was around the D chord.
I was playing 10 psychedelic shirts the other day actually, and I was using a D chord for that, so I got it right then, did I? Yeah,
there's a lot of songs you can do with the D chord. But anyway, there I was. Simon, you just felt a little bit kind of lost with what to do with your hands, really, didn't you?
I didn't know what to do. I mean, firstly, I don't even know what a D chord is. I'm not musical, and I was standing at the side of Trev, and he was, playing the guitar, and I guess this happened in rehearsal. I can't remember exactly, but I kind of placed my hands on what would have been whatever trousers were wearing then, and kind of swayed my legs from side to side with my knees together and holding kind of the seam or the crease of the trousers. And Trev just said to me, "What are you doing?" And there was no planning here. I just said, "I'm swinging my pants," and that's how it came out. It wasn't.
That was the moment,
right? And then that became the thing we said. Every now and then we have to explain to people because the Singing Corner are kind of, because they're an amalgam, they exist in their own world, and so people quite understandly think pants means underpants.
Yeah,
and we have to explain.
Unless you're in the States,
it's trousers.
Yeah.
We're using the Americanization of it. We mean trousers because it'd be impossible to swing your underpants, and it doesn't sound good to say swing your trousers.
No, I think at that point you must have been improvising some kind of Californian hippie kind of vibe thing going on there, because. Quite why a kind of English children's TV presenter would say pants, particularly, or an English folk singer. But maybe the Californian hippie dippy thing came out there. But you were obviously working on, you were just out there, spaced out, obviously.
It worked anyway, didn't it?
Can I point out, when Trev says I was spaced out, can I just point out that it was a few years after that I got into the drugs.
Did you think you're first, guys? So it's one word then.
But listen. When you get older, and you've got to take all the ibuprofen for your joints,
Hey, I get it. I'm there now, gents. I'm there now. I used to be a professional wrestler, so my joints are like clicking like an old train set. You know?
Really? You were really a professional wrestler?
Yeah. From 2002 through to 2009. Retired in 2009. Came back 2010, 11, 12, 30. You know, it's like the mafia. You just can't get out once you're in.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. Staying back to you. Where, when, how, why?
Oh God, that's a whole other podcast. That's a whole other podcast.
Did you ever meet any of the wrestlers we'd have done sketches with? All the kind of WWF guys?
Possibly. Who did I meet? I met a tag team called the Quebecers. I'm not sure if you would have met them. They were bad guys. Recently, I met a gentleman by the name of Eugene. He used to wrestle in the WWE. I got to wrestle him. There were a couple of others. They were more later on, though. They were more wrestlers from like the late 90s. Yeah.
But these are we did sketches with Hulk Hogan.
Oh, well, yeah, I remember that one.
Who's the guy with the plank, Trev?
Jim Duggan.
Jim Duggan.
Yeah.
British Bulldog.
Oh,
British Bulldog. Fantastic.
Soul, yeah.
The Undertaker.
Yeah. Randy.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, wow, what a legend. Absolute legend, yeah.
Yeah. And guess what as well? We even did a sketch. It was one of our Christmas specials. We did a sketch with Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Oh, another legend. Absolute legend in the wrestling business.
But when you ask who were our favourites, actually, I think the wrestlers generally were at the top of some of our favourite guests, because we used to say, well, whatever we do, we'll just get them to destroy the set at the end. And that's basically what
more could a wrestler love than destroying a set?
But they just had, I mean, I think now, Trev, I'm only thinking of it in these terms, but what they had was just the most fantastic set of ethics about the job. You know, they would come on to do the job. And if the job, they were promoting something, but if the job meant doing a sketch with us, they absolutely committed to it. You know, they were great to work with.
Well, totally. Yeah. I think a wrestler's got something in their mind, you know, this hidden switch there. When it's switched on, it's switched on. Whatever the job is, they focus 100% on it. They give it all, and they don't take themselves too seriously either, as you probably found, and they'll just get it done.
Well, maybe it's true of
Hulk Hogan.
Go on.
Hulk Hogan, actually, well, we said to him what we wanted him to do, and then we said, and we want you then to sort of push me out of the way or something. And he said, how about I pick you up and spin you around my head? We just went like, yeah,
definitely, 100%. Why not? That's amazing.
I think that professionalism applied to boxers as well, because Frank Bruno was brilliant when he came on. He always stayed in this character of being jolly and friendly, but if you kind of rubbed him up the wrong way, he'd get angry. Yeah. And it was a great character. Very, very funny.
Barry, no. Yeah, watching that earlier on, funny enough.
Goodness, I remember when Lennox Lewis came on, and my main memory of Lennox Lewis coming on was shaking his hand. Because my hand vanished.
Yeah,
you know, it's kind of.
I met Lennox Lewis myself. I shook his hand. A, it was just like sandpaper, and B, it was gigantic, just like a shovel.
Wow, old shovel hands.
Yeah.
We just by chance we bumped into Chris Eubank once out on the street when I can't remember where it was.
We were on tour in Glasgow, and he had a fight up in Glasgow coming up a few days after, I think.
Yeah, it was bizarre because you'd think someone like him might want to keep, well, maybe he shouldn't, I don't know, you would think he'd want to keep low key or sort of, you know, not be noticed. But he literally stood out in the middle of the street. He was waiting outside the shop for someone. He was like this, just, you know, he was like, here I am, it's me, Chris Eubank. And so you couldn't miss him. So
I went up, I had to go up to him, I'd say, and I said, can I shake your hand? And he was lovely, you know.
A lot of people have said, I've spoken to, said, Chris Eubank, nice guy, you know, you would never thought that. I think he played a bit of a persona, didn't he, back in the day when he was
sure. I loved it. I loved his posturing, I loved his style of boxing, I loved his outfits.
Yeah, showmanship.
He was driving around to Brighton in some big articulated
that's amazing, you know. Come on, who doesn't want to do that? But so gentlemen, to sum up your Saturday morning experience then in one word, go, what would it be?
Oh, God.
Early,
that's true. Yeah.
Early, yeah.
Tired, hungover.
Oh yeah, I could relate to that. Yeah, especially during lockdown.
If you do want just one word, and as opposed to early, something more positive, I would say amazing.
Yeah, and I'd say fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was very, very good fun, and we had such a laugh most of the time. I mean, it was quite hard work sometimes, and coming up with all that stuff over 10 years, it got into a bit of a routine sometimes. But overall, it was just very funny, and what a delight just having the latest pop star coming on the show, and we get to write something daft with them. It was just fun.
I don't think we ever lost. I don't think we ever lost. We always, I guess, we always felt a little bit like. Lots of people in showbiz use the term maybe imposter, meaning, they can't imagine their look or whatever. I don't know if it was quite that, but there would be a point where we were always sort of in it, but also slightly outside of the showbiz world. So there was always, we were always fans. Do you know what I mean? We were meeting people where we'd be in awe of them. We'd be fans of them. So, and I don't think that ever changed particularly. In some ways, that was an honor of doing the job. Really.
What a great job to have.
So yeah, there's the other word, honor. It was an honor. There you go.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, Saturday mornings, Trevor and Simon, that was the highlight of the show for me, genuinely. I'm not just saying it just to, because you're on. But it was great. Absolutely. And I think you may have, to my missus's dismay, been somewhat instrumental in my humour as well. So kudos for that.
Well, send our apologies, obviously.
Her name's Amy, if you'd like to do it yourself. I'm sure she'll be watching.
Sorry, Amy, really sorry about that.
We are sorry.
Good luck with the nimble toes.
Nice one. So from Saturday television, what are you up to now? I've listened to a couple of your podcasts. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
So they're from a few years back, aren't they? We've not done any podcasts for a while. But
the ones I'm referring to are Strangers in Space. Yeah, Strangers in Space. Yeah. I've been listening to them. I've subscribed to them. So you're not doing those anymore?
Well, I unfortunately throw a spanner in the works by having a full-time job with Medicinema. It makes things a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a great thing to do, but it comes to a nice sort of finale, that series, which we could spin off into another series. But for the moment, if anyone wants to go and listen to it, it's all out there, 6 episodes of it. It's a nice little story in itself. So I don't think there's any need for any more, but you never know. You never know.
Never say never.
Fantastic stuff.
Never say never.
Brilliant. Well, gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you for coming on and having a chat with me. I've had a great laugh reminiscing with you both. Go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say, like Saturday mornings, it's been fun and honour and amazing. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, no, nice one. Really appreciate it. It's been great. I can't wait to watch it back and share it with the masses as well. So thank you. Thanks again for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for having us on.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Cheers, people, ladies and gentlemen. Trevor and Simon. Woohoo!